Okay, I'm still here. What? Let me let me let me let me unpack this information really quick, and let me just put all the things that I just got into this table of information, and I'm gonna slide backwards because I'm still wrapping my head around it. Okay. Alrighty. Okay. Okay. No, this is too good. This is too good. Oh, everything is just falling in place. Hmm. 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 I got it. I totally got this. Let me raise up this chair because I think I'm sinking. I got this. I totally got this. Okay. Okay. Let's break it. Let's break it apart. Here we go. He's not. Oh man, he's not even part of the Schnee family. He took it on his own, over his own. He only cares about winning and his PR, which is public relations. He only cares about what the world thinks of you and succeeding in everything. Shady deals, harsh working conditions, freaking labor abuse, and wow, let me this is so crazy. I think it's funny. It's funny that this character, this personality actually exists in the real world. I mean, you might not think it, or you might think it a bit too no, oh hey. You might think it a bit too far-fetched, or like I can't. Okay, let me gather let me gather my thoughts here, guys. I'm sorry. Here we go. Here we go. There are people in this world that exist that have a very similar character as Jock. And it's mind boggling for me because if I did not deal with these particular people on a personal level, I would find it hard to believe. Hard to believe that this character that I'm seeing in this show has these traits of just not caring about anybody else, only care about, winning, money, results, and caring about overall what the rest of the world thinks of me. And unfortunately, there are people like that, and it's nuts. It's nuts. Everything all of a sudden is making a whole lot of sense, and the resonance that I'm experiencing because of it is ridiculous. It's like it's nuts. It really is. So let's set that tail aside for now, and let's talk about what we're knowing. Okay, so the Schnee Dust Company is on its second generation. It hasn't been out for too long, but it's on its second generation. Um, Oh no, my weakness. Names. I forgot the name of grandfather, but let's call him grandfather. So, grandfather, when he was a young one, he helped his father working in the mines for Mantle, the kingdom of Mantle. And on the alternate side, he would be learning of everything he didn't know about. And that's always great. The thirst and the quest for knowledge is its own reward because it'll open so many doors of understanding and possibilities for you to be able to achieve things. And isn't it weird that I talked about wow, that's really weird that I talked about me and homework when I was young and now we have this knowledge thing going on. That is really weird. Wow. But any case, so he's out in the thirst for knowledge, just learning about everything that he can learn about and helping his dad with the mine. And then when his father died, unfortunately, um, he was left. Not unfortunately that he was left, but unfortunate that the father died. Anyway, he was left as an inheritance everything the father had. Um, it wasn't much, but it was enough to start the dust company. So he gathered a bunch of people, and then this reminds me of the World of Remnant video when Crow talks about a bunch of crazy people decided to like go out to the north and explore out there. I'm guessing this was him. Look for dust deposits, look for resources because the mines were getting depleted. There wasn't much resources left. So let's go out into the north and find whatever we can to keep the kingdom of Mantle from dying. Now, Atlas. Where or when did Atlas come into play? Was it during grandfather's time or was it during Jock's time? Because, well, it's probably during grandfather's time. Yeah, because you have to set up your base of operations and the dust distribution center, and then you send out your expeditions all across the kingdoms and personal deliveries, making sure they get there on time and no grim attack the envoy. So probably during grandfather's time. It's what I would suspect. Let's leave it at that one. Um, so the foundations for Atlas were created during grandfather's time. And then Jock came along into the picture when grandfather could no longer. 1 second. I'm going to close the door. Thanks. When grandfather could no longer carry out things on the personal level, he decided to entrust things to Jock. Now, since Jock isn't personally going on the mission delivery errands, that's probably when things ramped up and turned into better escorts, more weaponry, perhaps. Yeah, that makes sense. If you're not gonna get there, if you're not a, if you didn't go to combat school, I don't know if Jock went to combat school. Probably went to business school. If you didn't go to combat school, if you don't know as much as grandfather did, but you're a good businessman and you get financial results and you do a lot of things as far as public relations and community events to change the image of the world of you, then yeah, on the surface, you look like a good, promising candidate. So when grandfather is no longer in the picture, then Jock puts everything on an autonomous level where things just run themselves and he makes the biggest critical decisions regarding with everything else. So he married into the family. Let's get to the juicy part. He married into the family, took over the business, and cares about the image of the company. Winter is no longer in the picture because she's going to the military. She's a commander, lieutenant in the military, Atlas military. So the next person in line is Weiss. Now, Weiss is a promising image for the Schnee Dust Company. She has a talent that everybody applauds, which is her singing. She's also going to combat school. But the relationship with her and father is a bit rough. It's a bit rough to the point where she actually actively tries to avoid him, as we've seen in the past episodes, where he calls and she's like, decline. And also during the conversation between her and Winter, in which Winter is presenting to her, what your options are. If you need the money, talk to father, listen to what he has to say, or just keep doing your own thing, which is probably what Winter did. So, all the girls left the house, leaving the boy behind. Why? Why didn't? Why didn't the grandfather leave the company to his wife or to his children? Okay, so Jock married into the family and was probably there for a very long time building up that reputation so that at the time of the well, uh, hmm, ever since father took over, so maybe grandpa was alive when Jock took over. I don't know. Let's just say he cheated and lied his way into it, and he made grandfather believe that he was doing everything exactly like grandfather did. And so when grandfather's like, well, I can't do this anymore, Jock is like, hey, you know what? Don't worry about it. I'll take over. You rest. You've done your part. And grandfather's like, okay, okay. I'll leave everything to you. And Jock is like, okay. Bleh. And then grandfather died. So then Jock is like, ha 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 ha. And he showed his true colors and started running the company from his house because I don't think that he was out there fighting, making sure the deliveries got to their destinations on time and without issues. So that's probably what happened. That's why grandfather didn't consider his wife or his daughter or anybody else. Does Weiss have an aunt or an uncle? I'm not sure. Don't think so. They haven't mentioned it. And in the pictures, it only showed. Actually, didn't show anything, did it? No, I'm not sure. But that's probably what happened. Okay. So, if things played out that way, then that means. Then that means. Then that means that Jacques has this concept that this thing belongs to him. And oh my goodness, this is resonating so much with this one particular person that I know. It's nuts. It really is nuts. There are actually people like that in the world. That's nuts. I got a story for you guys if you're interested at the end of this AAR, but it has a lot to do with somebody very similar to Jock that I know in real life. But what the future of the Schnee Dust Company will hold. And they show a picture of Weiss, none other than Weiss. I got nothing else. I got nothing else. Let's leave it here. Um, yeah, let's leave it here. I'm gonna start speculating at this point, so don't want to do that too much. Um, yeah, all right. Let's let me just tell you the story now. Okay. I think I've mentioned some details, but not fully on disclosure. Not disclosure, but like complete storytelling of what's been happening. Um, as far as my work and employment goes, I know I've mentioned that I changed companies. So let's where's a good starting point? Let's start. Let's start not from the beginning, but from near the end of the first chapter. There we go. So, as a federal contractor, we had a contract in which we are working um, for some services in some military facilities here in Puerto Rico. At the time, I was a field technician. I was working on all the maintenance and repairs and facility investments, anything that was repairable or maintainable. I was out there working on the stuff. That was when I had like almost 18-hour days. Um, so that was we had that contract. We also that contract also was a fully enclosing contract. Did I say compass? Contract. It was a fully enclosing contract that covered everything from the facility investment, repairs, and maintenance to also the janitorial aspect of things, cleaning, um, lawn mowing, groundskeeping, you name it. So the way it was constructed was that our company had the entirety of the contract, and what they would do is that they would run the facility side of things, the repairs and maintenance, and then the janitorial and the groundskeeping and everything. They would sub it out to another contractor that would come in and do the those aspects of the contract, right? Cool. Now, as a field technician working for the parent company, our job was to make sure that the parts of the contract that we subcontracted out were in compliance, because if the subcontractor is doing bad, then it reflects bad on the parent company because we're doing bad since we were awarded that contract, right? Cool. So, I came in when the contract was already running. I didn't know anybody, but working during my routines, I would have to do inspections every now and then. And I would go and I would check out the hallways, check the offices, check the bathrooms, check the grass levels or the tree branches if they were encroaching the walkways or the parking lots, or if there was branches or palm trees, um, not leaves, but the pencas. I don't know how you say pencas in English, but the leaf of the palm tree, when it dries and it gets brown, eventually it falls down to the floor. That, well, that thing. If there were some in the parking lot where cars would park, um, it was our responsibility to make sure that our subcontractor was making sure that all these things were taken care of, right? So I go and I start talking with the janitors. I'm like, hey, buddy, what's going on with the bathrooms? They look terrible or they smell really bad. Or, hey, buddy, what's going on with the hallways? There's dust and debris everywhere. Or, look, these surfaces have dust on them. What's going on? And a lot of the time, or at least near the end, especially near the end, when the contract was almost about to be thrown to the public for rebidding, the janitors eventually started opening up because I guess they got afraid that they were going to get a negative review from me, which was not the case. I'm not. Excuse me. I'm not in it to like cause harm. Like if you're doing your job wrong, I'll try to like help you fix it. I'm not gonna like get you in trouble. But anyway, so I would approach people and be asking like, "Hey, what's going on with this?" or "What's the deal with these hallways?" or "Why does these bathrooms smell so bad?" And eventually, after a couple of months, near the end, right before the contract ended, they started opening up and they started informing me as to the real reasons why things were happening the way they were happening. They said, like, oh, hey, here's the thing. I don't have cleaning supplies. Or, hey, here's the thing. I don't have materials or tools to work on these things. Or if the grass was too high, or if there was a lot of debris in the parking lot, vegetative debris, I would be like, "Hey, what's going on with all this debris? What's the deal?" And they'd be like, "Well, Char, here's the thing, Char. Uh, our boss tells us that we have 2 days to mow this entire field and pick up all the debris." I'm like, That's not right because on the schedule that I have here, you guys are scheduled for 5 days. You're scheduled here the entire week." They're like, "Yeah, but he only lets us be here 2 days, and then after that he pulls us out, and we go somewhere else to mow the lawn somewhere else in another contract that he has." And at that moment, it dawned on me, hey, this guy is double dipping. He is getting paid to do a clear. He is getting paid to do a job for a set number of days. And what he's doing is that he's squeezing two jobs within that same time frame period. And he's getting paid by two people for the same amount of time frame. And because of that, he's only doing half a job for each one. And I immediately got concerned. I had no way to access this guy. I didn't know who he was. And then the janitors and the ground laborers start telling me horror stories about how he would come up to them and be like, "Hey, here's here's your paycheck. If you want it, don't come to work next week. And if you want to come to work next week, just leave it here with me, and you can come to work." And things like, "Hey, you know, the truck is low on fuel, or I need gas to buy to fuel up the trimmers or the lawnmower, and we don't have money to buy fuel." And he would be like, "Well, go ahead and buy it then. Use your money to buy fuel for the equipment. And if you don't buy fuel for the equipment, then don't bother coming to work because what are you gonna do if you don't have gas to like do things in the field?" And the employees would actually buy their own fuel and pay for their own expenses that the company should be um, taking care of because we, as the parent company, provide all these financials for them. As long as they do their expense reports and whatever whatnot, we as a parent company provide them with the financials to power their operations. But he wasn't. He wasn't doing things the way you're supposed to do them. He was just pocketing all that money and abusing the employees by making them pay out of their own pocket for things that were company related expenses. Another occasion, an employee got hurt. A tree branch fell on his head. He wasn't wearing a hard hat. So when the branch fell on his head, he kind of like got dazed. And then 30 minutes later, he was complaining about a headache. And he's like, "Oh, I need someone to take me to the hospital." And apparently, the boss was there, the guy that I'm talking about. He was there and he said, "Oh, take yourself to the hospital because these two are working. You're not doing anything anyway, so you can take yourself to the hospital." And the employee is like, "What if I have an accident because I don't feel so good?" He's like, "Well, you better make sure you don't have an accident because if you do, that means that you're going to be using your personal car to drive everybody else and make up for the damage of the vehicle." To that extent. And I was appalled. I was appalled by these horror stories that they were telling me. Even the janitors, he would bring supplies, and they were expired or they were low quality, cleaners or chemicals, and when they're trying to clean a soiled surface or whatever, or disinfect in the bathroom, and it wouldn't just it wasn't cutting through the mold or through the soil, and they would complain about it, and he would be like, well, buy something better then, but that's all that I'm giving you, to that level. And that made me really concerned, especially near the end when our contract was about to finish and it was up for open bid. um, what happens is that it gets published publicly, and other companies can bid for the contract. And then at the end, all the people that bid for the contract contact the contract officials, and everybody looks at all the companies that applied and how much they're going to charge for the contract. And then the contracting officer makes a determination at the end. And if we do good, that gives us kind of like a step up from the competition, because we have our past experience with them, and they know who we are and what quality of work we do. So that made me concerned, because if near the end this poor quality that I'm picking up on starts to be reflected as far as our quality goes, then that makes me very concerned that we might not get the contract. And if we don't get the contract, I don't have a job. so so at that time, I wrote up a memo for the our manager and the president of our company, and I explained everything that was being told to me, everything that was being told to me by the employees of the other company. And I said, listen, this is very concerning, especially now that the contract is about to be rebid. I have my concerns because, I want to protect my job and I want to protect our company as a whole. But these employees are telling me these things that if they get found out by our client, it'll have extremely adverse consequences as far as candidate selection for the contract. And so our company approached the guy, the owner of the other company, and the owner of the other company said, "Oh, I know about CharFox. He's been harassing and what was the word he used? Um, what was the word he used? It made an impact on me. It starts with a B, I think. He is. It's like to threaten somebody. Oh, I can't believe I forgot that word, and it was such a good word too. But anyway, I know about CharFox. He's been threatening my employees, telling him that if they don't tell him things, he's gonna fire them. I didn't know he had that kind of power. I mean, I thought he was just a field technician. But my employees are scared because they're going to lose their jobs, so they've been telling him things that he wants them to tell them. And, he's badgering. Got it. He's badgering my employees. Anyway, so he told them all these things that, of course, weren't true. Oh, he's badgering my employees, threatening them that he's going to fire them, blah, blah, blah. And then my company, unfortunately, apparently decided to take action against me and made my life hard from that point forward. But hey, that's another tale for another time. Um, to finish this story, let's talk about him and what I learned of him later on. It's very interesting, and my God, it's extremely, extremely similar to this Atlas origin story. The Schnee Dust, I'm sorry, not Atlas, the Schnee Dust Company origin story. So let's start from the beginning. A long time ago, there was a janitor that was working in this building under another company, right? This janitor is technically grandfather in as far as parallelism goes with our stories. So this janitor working in this building under under the employment of a parent company. Okay, he works for the company, but he was assigned to this building. There. In the building, he made a lot of friends and a lot of relations with all the personnel in the building. Medical offices, lawyer offices. Um, it was like an office building where he was working at. And he would go and he would say hi to everybody and clean. And they would ask him, "Oh, can you take this out?" And he'd be like, "Sure, of course. Of course, let me just do everything." And he was all about customer service. And people loved him. He was a great janitor and it was great. So eventually, the company that he worked for decided to relocate him. Relocate him. And when the company was going to relocate him, everybody in the building said, "No, you can't do that. We don't want anybody else. We trust him. He's always in the offices. He knows all the files that we have. He has all the sensitive information inside of him. We don't want you to change him." And then the company felt threatened and be like, "Oh, you're going to tell me what to do? Okay, I won't relocate him. I'll fire him." And he got fired. And then on his way out, he told everybody what happened. "Oh, I just got fired. So they're going to bring somebody else in here now." At that point, the entire personnel of the building said, "Nuh-uh, you're not going to go away. We're going to help you. You're going to build your own company. And you're going to bid for this contract that we have, and you're going to get that contract because we want you to work here." And that's what they did. The entire personnel, the lawyers and all the people that knew all these inner workings of Puerto Rican law for labor helped him develop his business, make a register with the Department of State, register with the Puerto Rican version of IRS, which is Hacienda, and incorporate him as a company. And the people helped him establish himself as a corporation. And then they filed a complaint of noncompliance with the other company. The other company lost the contract, and they gave the contract to him and his company. And the company's name is the guy's name. That's how simple everything was. For protection of identity, let's call him Charlie Brown. Well, the company name is called Charlie Brown Company, you know? That's not his real name, but that's an example of how simple it was for the process. All right? So Charlie Brown, the Charlie Brown Company, now started working in this building. Eventually, the building was too big for him, and he hired somebody else to work on other floors. And then the people inside the building started recommending him, "Hey, Charlie Brown, I have some colleagues that need a janitor in their building. Would you be interested?" "Yeah, sure." So Charlie Brown hired more people, and then Charlie Brown keeps expanding. The Charlie Brown Company keeps expanding and getting more contract and generating more income, and eventually it becomes well established. Charlie Brown Company now is known. They do this, they do this, they do this, they do this, they do this. Fine, perfect. That was great stuff. Charlie Brown eventually finds yeah, I think he did get married. He finds a spouse, gets married, and has children. Now, this is where it gets interesting. He has three children. All right. One of them became a lawyer. One of them does something. I don't know about this guy. Or this guy. I don't know. I don't know the order of who they are, but one of them is a lawyer, one of them does something, and then the other one is Charlie Brown Jr. And he is the one that is currently running the Charlie Brown Company because grandfather Charlie Brown couldn't run the company anymore. Yeah, he shows up every now and then, does a special guest appearance, but the company is run by Charlie Brown Jr. Now, in my personal opinion, and this is me doing my I guess opinion would be Charlie Brown Jr. never worked for anything in his life. He was born in what we call in Spanish a golden crib. Everything was given to him, so he never valued what it was to work hard for something, what it was to deal with an injustices in life. He never was exposed to hardships, and because of all these things, Charlie Brown Jr. was unfazed by running the company in the way he was running it. And that is what resonates me with everything that I'm listening with the Schnee Dust Company World of RedNet video. Because I see in Jock Charlie Brown Jr. He came into the company and he inherited it. Yeah, it was direct line from his father, but still, he didn't earn the company. He didn't build it from scratch like his father did. He just got the keys. Here you go. Run the business. You've been growing up around me. You know what happens. And that's why he's able to not feel any sense of remorse, because he hasn't felt injustice in his life until he crossed paths with me. But it wasn't really injustice. It was actually it was actually something else. But anyway, that's a tale for another time. So let's leave it here. Let's leave it here. Holy crap, we broke the hour limit, and my computer is doing okay, so let's leave it at that. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. I greatly appreciate everything that you do and all of your support. You guys are truly awesome. Let me put the cursor on the button. There it is. So with that, I'll leave it here. Until next time, take care, and bye-bye. ふわふわふわふわふわふわりくるくるくるくるくるくる回るのふわふわふよふよふわふわりうるるくるくるふわふわ飛び出したの